Welcome to Love Punch, where I'm challenging leaders, entrepreneurs, and creatives to make a lasting impact. I'm your host, Fremon, and I'm here as a catalyst for you, the new generation of thought leaders. Join me each week as I dive into raw conversations with real impact makers. Hello, everyone. So today is a solo act. It's just me. And I'm going to be talking about a myth that is plaguing the industry. And when I talk about the industry, I mean entrepreneurs, business leadership, whatever it is. And it's this myth of multitasking. It's this lie that so many of you are telling yourselves. Well, I'm an amazing multitasker. I love multitasking. I get so much done. Well, guess what? That, my friends, is bullshit. And here's why. We only have a certain amount of energy, right? Like everything in our world is energy. And we as human beings only have a certain amount of energy within us. So if we have 100% energy, and we're focusing on multiple projects all at once, then maybe one project gets like 10% and another project gets 15 and another project is 30 and another project gets 5. I mean, really, you're not giving 100% to anything. And sure, you may be producing some pretty amazing shit, but imagine how much more amazing it would be if you were willing to spend 100% of your energy on these things. So the reason why this is difficult is because we're visionaries, right? We are visionaries. And as visionaries, we have so many amazing ideas. We download things. We get creative, and it's like as soon as we start creating one project, we have ideas for another project. And so our list of projects starts to expand, and soon we've got a list of like 10, 20, 30 things that we want to accomplish. I mean, we all do it. I fucking do it, and I do it all the time. And I used to think that I was a great multitasker. You know, I was so used to doing so many different things at once. Growing up, you know, in my early 20s, I worked 3 different jobs. And one of those was running my own business. And, you know, at that age, sure, I was doing a pretty good job. But I look back and I think, wow, that's probably why that entrepreneurial endeavor didn't really work out, because I wasn't giving it 100% of what I had. I was always scattered. And that's what multitasking does, is it causes our energy to scatter. You know, so if you think of yourself as like a vessel, and within this vessel, you can have 100% energy, but you're dividing that energy into different things, then nothing is ever getting 100%, and your energy is always scattered, which makes it then hard to focus on things that you want to focus on. And I know, like, maybe you're a visionary watching or listening to this, and you're like, shit, that sounds like me. I've got a ton of ideas, but I feel so scattered-brained. You feel like you lack organization, and it's because you are trying to divide your energy simultaneously amongst different things. Now, it is not a bad thing to be a visionary. In fact, this is what the world needs. We need more people to rise up with ideas and solutions to the problems that we have, the problems that we face. This is the job of the thought leader. However, if you are not executing on these projects, if you are not executing on these big ideas, if you are not executing on your vision with 100% of your energy, then you are not doing the world any good, and you are not doing yourself any good, because you could be showing up in a far greater way, both for yourself and your mission, right? So again, it's not bad to have that giant list of things that you want to accomplish, or that you want to create, or that you want to produce, but it's about filtering that down and knowing what it is that you're going to focus on for the next 7, 10, 30 days or so. What is it that you're going to divert 100% of your energy to? Now I know you're saying, well, how the fuck do I do that? So let me share a way to make that possible. So there are 3 things you have to keep in mind. So you grab your list of projects and all the shit that you want to accomplish. Okay, grab that list and then ask yourself right now, question 1, what is it that I or my business needs in this moment of time? Now, this is really important because if you're in a place in your business where you're not making money and you need to make money, then make that a priority. Don't be afraid to make that a priority. Have the courage to admit that to yourself and say, well, dude, I need to make some fucking money. So then take your list and cross off anything that isn't a money generator. And when I say money generator, I mean things that are actually going to produce money for you right away. Okay, so I know like all these big ideas can produce money in the long term, but what is going to produce money for you right now? That is an example. What is it that you need? You know, some of you, it might be, I need to expand my reach. Okay, then cross off everything on your list that is not going to help you expand your reach and focus solely on those things. The second thing to ask yourself is, what is going to create the biggest impact for both myself, my audience, and my business? Impact is so important. I talk about this all the time. And as a thought leader, you're here to influence and create impact because that's what the world needs. So out of these ideas that you now have narrowed it down to, what is going to create the greatest amount of impact for you, your business, and or your audience? What is going to be the most impactful thing you could possibly do? You know, and so if we use the example of money, say you've narrowed it down to like 3 offers that you have, programs or offers or services. And out of those 3, there is one that's going to create an immediate response. You know, there's the other 2 are kind of long-term, they're longer-term investments, but there's one that you could really create an immediate response by. That is impact. So that is what you keep on your list. Now, the third question you ask yourself is, well, what excites me? So now that you've narrowed down your list to need and impact, you're going to focus on the ideas, the projects that excite you the most. So what excites you on that list? What feels exciting? What feels like it would get you out of bed every day and have you feeling stoked when you show up at your desk? You know, what excites you? What are you passionate about? What's igniting the fire within you? And that's going to narrow down your list even more. So now you've narrowed your list of like 20 to 30 amazing ideas that you want to produce in this world, in your business, and you've narrowed it down to maybe like 1 to 3 things. Okay. If you haven't narrowed it down to 1 to 3, you're going to want to narrow it down to 1 to 3 things. Give yourself a timeline. So this is where you have to start getting diligent with your time and energy, because your time is valuable and your energy is also valuable. It's important to give yourself a time frame, because if you just give yourself an infinite amount of time, you are going to take your fucking time to complete these projects, my friends. So grab these 1 to 3 different ideas, and whatever calendar you use, whether it's your phone or your old school and you use an agenda, whatever it is, grab your calendar and make a decision. Like, how long do I want to give myself to execute on these things? Say you give yourself 30 days. Cool. So now you have 30 days to execute these 1 to 3 projects or ideas. Now, within those 30 days on your calendar, start listing out the tasks. What is it that you need to do? And then start creating time blocks. This is so fucking important. I find that as visionaries, because we are often in the grand picture state, we have a tough time narrowing down into the here and now. We have a tough time narrowing down into what we need to do in this exact moment because we're so focused on the big vision. So time blocking is essential as a visionary. What this means is you're going to give yourself blocks of time to work on these different projects. So take note, I haven't said that you had to pick just one. You can have 1 to 3 things that you've narrowed down to. But the reason that we need to now put them into time blocks is because within that time block, you are only allowed to focus on that one fucking thing. Okay. So if you are someone who requires like 4 hours to get something done, to get into the flow, if you're someone who takes your time getting into flow state, then give yourself a larger chunk of time. If you're someone who drops right in and can get shit done, cool. Give yourself shorter time blocks. So maybe on Mondays in the morning for 4 hours, you work on project 1. And maybe on Tuesdays in the middle of the day for 6 hours, you work on project 2. Maybe on Wednesdays, you work on project 3 for 1 hour. You want to block this time off. And during those time blocks, you're going to close everything else. So turning notifications off on your phone, closing all your fucking tabs and windows on your computers. I am, admittedly, a tab whore, and I keep a lot of tabs open, but it's so important to cut out distractions when you're in these time blocks, because again, we're trying to get you to focus 100% of your energy on your projects so that you can execute them with the highest regard, with your highest and fullest expression, with your fullest form of potential. So in order to do that, you need to give it 100%. So within these time blocks, you're going to turn off all distractions. If you're a snack person, have your snacks ready. Make sure that you are prepared to dive into this time block and focus 100% of your fucking energy into what it is that you intend to focus on. And this is how you start to get shit done, but get shit done in a way that feels organized, in a way that feels focused, and shit that is going to produce results like you've never experienced before. And let me share a story just to drive this home. So back in 2017, that was the first year I launched Amplified Soul Live, my 3-day event. So 2016 was the year where I decided to do this. And I remember it was September 2016. I said, okay, in March, I'm going to produce this event. It's going to be a 3-day event. I want 100 people there. At that time, I was writing a lot. I was writing a lot of articles for different outlets, like Mind Body Green, Huffington Post, my own blog. I was doing consistent YouTube videos on my channel and working on that. I was doing everything else, my social media, running my groups. And it was a lot that I had on my plate, but I knew the moment that I stepped into this 3-day event, the biggest project of my life, that I needed to create space because I didn't have enough energy to funnel into the event to produce the results that I was really seeking. And I really wanted to produce some strong results because this was one of my biggest dreams. So I was like, okay, what can I cut out in this moment of time? What can I cut out for a while? What can I just pause? So I paused my YouTube channel and I paused writing. And these are things that I'd love to do, but I understood that by pausing these things, I would then divert more of my energy towards what I really wanted to do for the next few months, which was Amplified Soul Live. So I put those 2 things on pause. I also started assigning more to my virtual assistant so that she could take over a lot more of my social media. And all of a sudden, I was able to create these time blocks in my calendar, where I would block off, Monday, 6 hours, 6 solid hours to work on Amplified Soul Live. And I would block up, on Wednesdays, 2 or 3 hours, and on Thursdays, another 2 or 3 hours. And during those time blocks, I would literally close Facebook, turn off all my notifications, close out all my tabs, close out all my windows, turn my phone on silent, and dive into work. And that is how I produced a very successful first event. I mean, for my first event, my first 3-day event, I had just under 100 people there. There was about 90 people in the room, and it was hugely successful. But I would not have been able to deliver those results or produce those results if my energy was diverted into all these other projects. If I continued to lie to myself and say, oh, I'm a really good fucking multitasker, that would have drowned my actual talent. So you see, this multitasking myth, this is a lie that we tell ourselves because we're too afraid to narrow down the things that we want to work on. Now, on that giant list of projects that you have, I'm sure you're looking at it and you're like, these are all amazing. Now, I'm not telling you to quit any of those projects. You're just going to put them on pause so that you can focus 100% of your energy on one single project or 2 to 3 single projects and deliver exceptional results or deliver an exceptional product. That's what this is about. Because as a visionary, your ideas are only as good as the execution. So you can't just continue to have these amazing life-altering ideas and then execute poorly. That doesn't work. That's not how you're going to stand out. In order to stand out, everything that you produce has to be fucking exceptional. And I'm not talking about perfect. I'm talking about putting all your energy into it so that you are aligned 100% with everything that you're producing. So let me recap, okay? And if you need to take notes, take notes. So your giant list of things to do, your giant list of projects, whether it's building your email list, launching a new program, creating a new digital course, doing videos, acquiring speaking gigs, whatever it is, this giant list of things you do, you're going to narrow it down depending on your need, your impact, and what excites you. So ask yourself, what is it that I need right now personally and professionally in your business? And then take everything off the list that doesn't fulfill that need. Second, what is going to deliver the highest impact for myself, my business, or my tribe? And you're going to remove anything that doesn't deliver high impact. And then third, out of those things, what excites you? What gets you fired up? What feels so fucking good? What feels like a fuck yes? Keep those things and get rid of everything else. And that should narrow your list down to 1 to 3 things. And then you're going to decide your timeline, and then you're going to create time blocks, and you're going to start to cultivate a habit of being distraction free. People, remember, you're not missing out if you're not on social media for a few fucking hours. Okay. I know FOMO feels real, but FOMO is not real, my friends. So try that out. Let me know how it goes. Keep me posted on social. Just look me up. My handle is at @IamRuby. Put this to the test for the next 30 days. Like really commit to this and execute with 100% of your energy behind your projects, behind what it is that you are creating or giving birth to in this world. And see how that changes things or see how that shifts things, whether it's the production quality or how you feel with what it is that you're producing. All of that is going to change. So my love punch for today, multitasking is a fucking myth. So thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Love Punch. If you dig it, share it with a friend. Make sure you hit subscribe on iTunes and please drop a review to help share the love. And again, if you want to connect, just find me online at @IamRuby, and I will see you back here next week for a new episode of Love Punch.